And we will be rocking and rolling. Okay, got it. Welcome everybody to LinkedIn for Breakfast. Fantastic to see you all here. Excited to be talking about LinkedIn posting and actually what to share, how to share, why to share. And we've also, just before we've opened up the recording of this session, been asking people what particularly they're interested in. And there's quite a lot of conversation around, well, actually, how can we do this to generate prospects? So we're going to give you a couple of tips on actual generating some posts and actually tips for creating a great post. But then we're also going to tie that into a little bit of work upon lead generation and where we're going to be pointing people towards. I'm excited to see you here. So the first part is going to be very much kind of a little riff from me for about 10 minutes or so. And then we're going to open it up into conversation from there. Good stuff. Remember, this is like a roundtable discussion, so we'd love to hear your thoughts and contribution as well. Right. So that's the agenda as mentioned here. So look, why do we want to post on LinkedIn? And a lot of people in the chat saying to generate inquiries. And of course, LinkedIn itself wants you to actually produce content and share content on its platform. And in fact, it has something called the social selling index, which will actually tell you how it sees you as a rating on LinkedIn and how you are performing as someone who is a user of LinkedIn. And I do loop back to this a few times when I do these sessions, because if LinkedIn is telling us that the SSI score is important, then, and I'll just dump this link in the chat, because if you want to, you can just quickly look at what your SSI score is currently, and the link is in the chat now, gang. Give us a thumbs up if you can see it. Give us a thumbs up if you can see it. Fantastic, we can see it. Good stuff. So the SSI score is LinkedIn's way of saying this is your score. And if they are saying, hey, these are the four things, the four components that they look at, then they must be important, right? And one of those components, this is an example, well, this is actually mine, is establishing your professional brand. And that's very much around the type of content you're putting out, the type of hashtags that you're putting out, how many people are looking at it, the linger time. Linger time is the rating of how someone stops when they're scrolling through their phone, like we all do. And then they pause with that finger to just kind of look at your post and then maybe look at more content from you, right? That linger time. And that's all going to help you to establish that professional brand and to make sure that your content's going well. So when you start to think about this, better posts that are being more engaged, that are getting comments, likes, shares, etc., helps your SSI, it helps your reach, and also it develops a further push from LinkedIn. Many of you guys would have come along to one of my events on LinkedIn pods, and we do a LinkedIn pods within our LinkedIn for Breakfast group. And essentially, what a pod will help you do, if I can get my Blackboard in the right way, is by having extra likes and shares and comments on a post. What happens if this is your reach here, and this is time here? If your post gets posted here and then suddenly has a spike in engagement, that's great. And that's what a pod and what a great post can help with. And then it will start to grow gradually as the organic hits in. And then what tends to happen about here is LinkedIn will see this growth and reward you with further reach. And you'll get an extra hit to a further reach up here, and then it will plateau again, right? So that's a kind of a classic journey of a good post. And that's why we use a pod to be able to artificially create this initial push. And so if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about from there, yes, we got a training on it. Yes, we do one of these LinkedIn for Breakfast on it. So I won't linger on it. But if you wanted to, well, hello, let me just get rid of this. LinkedIn for Breakfast school group here, which is our community, you will see here we've got our pod, and look, 252 of you lovely people were engaging on it on Tuesday. So again, that group is in the chat there. If you're not in our LinkedIn for Breakfast group, do get in there, involved in there, because we've got things like pods and community corners, and obviously we promote this event in here totally for free, gang. So jump in there. But the reason why that's important is that you can see the lifetime of a post and how we try and help that post go. But here's the trick, gang. If you get to here, but you then flatline and you don't get this bit of growth after the initial pod push, then that's because your post probably isn't that exciting. It's not interesting. It's not got enough kind of a hook, and not enough people are reading it in their own right. So we can push you only so far. You've got to do this bit until you get the second push from LinkedIn. And the only reason LinkedIn will give you a second push is if it's a good post. That's the sort of stuff we want to help you with today, right? So hopefully that gives you a bit of context. SSI tells you that you're doing that. The journey of your content will tell you you're doing that. And we want to help you to do that even better. Okay. So back to the presentation. So algorithm changes that we need to be aware of. And actually, when I say changes, these are almost algorithm changes that had happened like a year ago that is important for you to understand as being core elements of when you're approaching anything, right? And the lovely Laura Toot brought my attention to this wonderful graphic here, and it is in the LinkedIn for Breakfast school group as a post as well. But essentially, there's a few key takeaways from here, which I think is important to be able to share. Things such as nurturing your post after publishing and actually stick around to engage with other people. So what we mean is there is kind of a perfect time to post, right? So when we're posting, there is this kind of 15-minute type window. And Tony Silver, who is another attendee of this, he's a LinkedIn coach as well, talks to us about this kind of concept of if you're going to spend half an hour on LinkedIn, spend 15 minutes before you are on LinkedIn, just liking and commenting and talking to other people and doing other activity on LinkedIn, not sharing posts. Then you share your post and then spend 15 minutes afterwards commenting, liking, talking to people on LinkedIn, because that shows that you've come in, you're not just posting and going, because LinkedIn doesn't want you to do that. It wants you to do linger time. So this is, again, why the pod is really important, because if you can come in, spend 15 minutes kind of liking, commenting on other people's posts, then you post your content and then spend 15, 20 minutes liking other people's posts, then voila, that's awesome. Works really well. And it's sort of the stuff that we're training our clients on. And it's also, I mean, if anybody hadn't heard how we operate, we've got a hybrid coaching program. We do a coaching and also have a marketing exec that works for our clients. Our marketing execs are getting trained on this, that when they come in, they will be doing connection requests, they will be doing DMs, they'll be doing what we call CLAM, which is comment, like, add, message. So someone goes and comments on someone's post, they like that post, they add that person's connection, and then they message them a connection request. That's CLAM, excuse the abbreviation. But this, again, is a really good mantra, because you're commenting and liking and adding people as connections. Then you drop your post. These people are really likely to actually see your post. Plus, if you're using a pod as well, it will artificially increase the view of your post. And then if you carry on liking, commenting, and nurturing, which we go back to our presentation slide here, top left, nurturing, posting is not enough, nurturing, right? It gives you this extra reach on your posts, right? And you can really help, right? Respond to comments within 1 hour. So it's not just post and go. If you've spent time and energy putting together a nice post, then make sure you really look after it. There's the other thing that you can do with a good post. If you know that you've created a really great post, then make it your LinkedIn newsletter. Many of us, and again, we do a slide and a presentation on this as well, but when you think about LinkedIn newsletter, it's a wonderful free opportunity to be able to share your content. If we go onto LinkedIn and look at this, you could have people subscribing to a newsletter, and a newsletter is essentially just a post that you're putting out on LinkedIn. It's an article that you tick a box to say, actually, yes, send it as my newsletter. So if I go onto my profile here and scroll down to the featured section, you'll see here, so this is my LinkedIn for Breakfast newsletter, and I have over 2,000 people subscribed to that newsletter. So 2,000 people subscribers. So if you really want your post to do well, make your post an article and share that as a newsletter to your audience. That means 215 people for me will get a push notification from LinkedIn, not from Richard Woods as an email, but from LinkedIn as a push notification to say, hey, LinkedIn's LinkedIn newsletter's just dropped. It goes as an email into your inbox from LinkedIn. So you probably have LinkedIn as an okay recipient from your spam filter. Well, this is awesome. You can push this and get even more people looking at really important pieces of content from you. So this is all kind of tactics to help with the reach, and it's all going to be based upon these algorithm changes. And really reading through this is an important thing to do. The other thing is around hashtags. So a lot of people think about, well, actually, how many hashtags should I use? Well, this again is saying use more than 3, but less than 10 hashtags, right? And also create a personal hashtag. So like hashtag Richard Woods, because it will help you to build that personal brand. What did we say on SSI? Establish your professional brand, right? Use your hashtag for you, right? So why not? You've got 10 of them or up to 10 of them. Don't have to always use 10 of them. Now, the reason why these are important takeaways and why we can use this as gospel is this is taken from a podcast interview that 2 people involved within LinkedIn at the sharp end of the algorithm were interviewed. And the reason why this was such important content, and I'm having to refer back to it because it's 2022, is because they never talk about the algorithm changes when it comes to content and reach ever, unless unless it was this one occasion. I know it sounds really strange, but it was like that's why it was such big news at the time, because they've never given as much detail as they did at that point. And this is why it's important. The other thing is around consistency. Consistency is key, and actually having that ability to post regularly, right? Minimum 2 posts a week. And if you stop posting for more than a month, the first 4 to 5 posts will receive about 30% less reach. So if you always go, well, my posts never get any reach, and you honestly can look yourself in the mirror and say that you're posting more than twice a week, then maybe there's some other things that are going to wrong. If it's not a case that you're posting twice a week, then that's probably the reason why. You just not got the consistency that's working, right? Cool. Last thing I'm going to say on this, and we're going to go for a couple of other tips, is selfies still deliver 3 times more engagement and up to 2.5 times more reach. Now, we've all seen the classic kind of picture of a coach crying on LinkedIn or whatever it is, and there was a thing there that everybody seemed to be crying for for a while. It's like, stop doing this, guy. But the proper posts where people are actually doing messages and pictures of themselves, I know kind of sometimes it's a bit cringe, but actually it works really well. And if you get it right, it's really authentic. And I love it. I actually really like it because it helps you to bring a window into someone's world, particularly if they're out and about. And yes, all right, they might be looking pensive out into the distance and like talking about, I wonder about the, whatever it is, right? But it works and your audience will engage with you. Again, we're trying to develop our professional brands and our personal brands on LinkedIn. So you are your brand, particularly in the small business market. And so why not give us more of you? Try it. Honestly, try it, and you will find yourself getting a more getting a far better reach from it. Cool. Okay. So 3 of my ideas that will help from a practical point of view. Okay. So, first of all, an attention grabbing headline. Okay. So, first of all, statistics. It's that kind of classic. if you can put some numbers or a bit of data or something like that, people love that, So a little bit of statistics can help. Or an inspirational or motivational quote can be really, really helpful. Questions. So you ask a question of your audience. That can be really great. How to, a bit of humor maybe, compelling statements or some clickbaity headlines. So this is one that we did, it has helped me fly again was the quotation that we had from Ghazala, who was a client of ours giving us a nice testimonial. And it was really nice. And that did a particularly well, that post, because people found it an interesting headline, right? Secondly, what about asking your reader questions, right? So Laura, I think she's on this call. She's awesome. Her content's amazing. And she will ask lots of questions in her post and use these little emojis to be able to highlight that. So what is empathy? Why does empathy matter as a leader, right? But exclamation mark, like it draws you in and works you through. She's also using quotes and linking out to the references here. And so you can see how this is a really nice piece of content. If you look at her reach, on her typical post, they are exceptional. So this is the sort of thing we want to be looking at, gang, right? Third thing, before we want to get some ideas from the room, this is Lizzie, who I think is also on this call. And Lizzie is using a few ideas here. So she's using a story and a selfie. So it's the story of, and also a question. So it starts with, have you had your resilience tested recently? Starts with a question with a selfie. Then you can see the length of this post once you click to see more is her telling the story of actually how she climbed a mountain as part of the $1 Million Sprint retreat. We go to Snowdonia. We went to Snowdonia. We're going to go to the Lake District this year, and we climb a mountain or do something adventurous as a community. Lizzie put a great post out there that did really well. She used 4 hashtags at the bottom. She used questions, emojis. She told this story, great pictures, and it just had all the foundations of a fantastic LinkedIn post. And of course, then she got comments. You can see 70 comments, reposts, 80 other people are liking it. And it's just that classic great piece of post, right? So it got the attention. Now, when we think about leads, what does Lizzie do? Well, she helps people to be more confident and have resilience. And so she's now created a post around resilience and having your resilience tested, right? And so this comes back down to the lead generation side of it, right? So when we start to think about content, we want to think about, well, what is the pains that you help people to deal with, right? So for Lizzie, it's resilience, confidence, it's being heard, it's kind of one of her mantras is replacing, or extinguishing boardroom toxicity is one of her things, right? And so she can talk about those pains and she can relate it back to a story of her own situation, which can have a question, have you ever had your resilience tested, which can have the selfie, which can have the emojis that help people to go through. And from that, she can then call people to actions to say, hey, if you are going through an equal challenge, then I have a event or a ebook or whatever it is, a consideration asset. And many of you will hear us talk about this funnel. And this is so important when you're trying to run this. You've got to think about, you've got to go and take clients through social media from awareness to consider to convert to deliver. Okay. And lots of people miss one of these stages out because what they try and do on LinkedIn is they try and build awareness, right? So we've just become aware that Lizzie helps people with resilience and confidence, and she has a story that's applicable. If she then went, hey, book in for a call with me so we can talk about your resilience, that's like, hey, I became aware of you, now buy my stuff, go straight to convert. And we all miss out on this huge piece here, which is the consideration piece. And I talk and I loop back to everybody, but it's so important to make sure this drops for all of you, because if we're trying to post and connect and talk to people and go, hey, buy my stuff, you are just not working through the model that helps people to know, like, and trust you. So then they buy from you, okay? And consideration is when you bring them into something where they're swapping time to spend some time with you. So that could be an event that they come along to. So if Lizzie then said, hey, if you also are struggling with resilience or want to discuss this type of thing, then we're running an event on Wednesday that's going to be talking about how you can be more confident in a male-dominated environment or within a toxic work environment, whatever it is, right? And then people come to the event. She can then further dive deep on that story, more content, etc., and then move people onto the sales meeting. And from the sales meeting, then the likelihood is that they will go on and buy because your conversion rate will be far better, your sharp rate will be far better, and the volume of people coming through, because remember, people viewing your post are just data. You've had X amount of impressions and X amount of views. So we have no idea who these people are until they actually take some action. And they're far more likely to book into a meeting where they're swapping their name and email address and telephone number to register. Even if they don't show up, they become a lead. And so therefore they're far more likely to do that and then book on to your sales meeting from there. Okay. So gang, that's what you want to be thinking about. Awareness is using some of these ideas to drive awareness of you and the fact that you're tied into those pains and your story to those. Consideration is how people can come and learn from you to be able to solve that. And then the realization is actually they need a little bit more support. So then they jump onto a call with you to be able to get further help to then solve that pain, right? And the last thing I'll leave you with before we open up the conversation, because I'd love to know a little bit more about what other people are doing in terms of posting and how this works, is that we're all flatlining online, right? We're all scrolling. But then boop, boop, suddenly something will spike our attention. So Lizzie's resilience post would have spiked those 80 likes and those 70 comments of people's attention. But oh, Jesus, I just woke up a bit. So our job then, when someone just slightly gets a pulse, to start making this into a ravine of content. So they see your headline, they then read the post, they then see your call to action at the bottom, and then they'll book onto your consideration activity, and then they'll come to a sales meeting and they realize that their book that they thought they had here actually is a ravine of need. And that ravine of need, your solution can smooth over if they just buy your program or your course or your service or whatever it is. You smooth over this new ravine of pain that you've been able to show them they have, so then they can carry on flatlining and happily skipping around life, right? And that is what marketing into consideration, into convert really helps you do, and have a great solution to be able to solve those pains for people. And that's what you want to be able to do with your business. Okay. So, gang, I would love to hear from you all in terms of ideas that you've got around posting and thoughts around this. So let's just take the first question from someone. Deborah, yes, go for it.
Good morning, Richard. I want to know how long your post should be, ideally. I mean, that one of Lizzie's was quite long. I've got a theory they should be quite short because you're top of funnel and people aren't that engaged with you at that point. Any insights?
There is kind of people that will say, oh, 300 words is the sweet spot, etc. But I really think it's around the type of post and what you're trying to achieve. Some of the posts that I've shown as examples there, like Laura's, for example, they're big posts. If you're telling a lovely story, tell it in your way. If you want to, and mix up media as well. So you want to mix a blend of videos, pictures, written text, mix your media, and also mix up the lengths of your posts as well, because not everybody wants to read an essay every time. But at the same time, they do sometimes want to delve into your world. So I would say mix it up. Look, if you Google it, it will say 300 words because that's the classic kind of advice. But my advice is blend it, go purposely short, like 3 bite-sized things for this, or go longer, my story around that. And so really work through that. Yeah. Cool.
All right, thank you.
Love to get other people's thoughts on that if they've seen anything around the length of post. Just before I do though, gang, that consideration piece that I was just talking about just then, we actually as an organization want to help you to be able to create an event like this, a room like this, some sort of regular piece of consideration activity and marketing. And actually, we don't just coach you on how to do this, we do it for you. So we help you to write out the posts, to send the content, to manage it, to be able to then follow stuff up for you. This is the whole point of what we do in Million Dollar Sprint. We don't just coach you on being able to host one of these, but we also help you to be able to do the stuff, post the schedule, write the content, exactly, all of those sort of things, right? And I'd love to show you a little bit more about that and have a quick chat about how that works. So just before I jump onto the next question, if I can just share my screens one last time and just show you my diary. Now, this is directly with me personally, and I've got a few appointments left. So I've got, that's refreshing. Yes, I've got 3 today and then a couple more on Monday, Tuesday, and that's it. So if you can jump onto there and just take, it's just a phone call with me, half an hour, just to go through how we might be able to help you to create something like this that you're currently seeing now for your business. And we do have a 6-month program. So I would love to be able to talk to you about that and work it through with you. So jump onto that now, and looking forward to chatting with you further. Right. Let's go back into the room and take a question from Lizzie. Go for it, Lizzie.
Just thank you so much. I feel embarrassed about the accolade, but thank you so much. My question is that as you know, I'm a sprinter here. Amazing. You've got to join because it's all incredible. Anyway, the point is, because I have my weekly session, which is today, spookily, is I do the theme of that session all week. And I have noticed that my not that I'm worried about views, because if it helps one person, that's all I want to do. But I've noticed it's that balance between how much you're promoting. I always promote it in the chat. I don't, promote it all in the post, but it's just that balance of promotion versus value. Now, all my posts have the value, and then I say, if you want to know more, join me on Wednesday, for example. So
yeah, I think again, you can blend these things. I love the fact it can be like a footnote in the story side, because you're building awareness, but then I think you need to have specific posts that are all about call to action to your weekly moment. And so, and it doesn't have, as I say, for anybody watching this, it doesn't have to be weekly, these calls. They can be monthly, can be fortnightly. But just to jump on the blackboard of truth and justice one more time. So the whole point of this is that if you're thinking about your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever your rhythm is, if you've got your event on Wednesday, sorry, excuse the weird lines, then the whole point of this is that we've got to do something at the start of the week to fill the event, and then the latter part of the week to follow up the event. So you fill, then follow, right? So follow up is you're trying to get call to action into sales meetings. Oh my God, my writing's not working today. And then the start is all about filling it. So your story post is what I would call a great engagement creator, right? So we've got things like polls that could be good engagement creators, but also story posts could be great, because you'll get lots of people liking, sharing, and commenting and enjoying that, right? And so you might get 70 odd views and reach, etc., that you just got, but you got 70 comments, you got 80 likes. So you got additional, obviously some of those will be duplicates, but there was more than just 70 there, in terms of those between those two, right? So you can then message these people and say, hey, thanks for your like on my story post. By the way, if you are interested in resilience, I've got this event coming up. So instead of doing the same, which we do for polls, you could work your story posts on a Monday. And that means your call to action can be light on the post, because you're going to DM people about it. But on Tuesday, because your reach has been great on the Monday story post, because it's hyper, then you've earned the reach for the next post, because the post that you follow up a highly engaged post with is going to have a leg up, because all these people here are highly likely to see your next post. So Tuesday becomes promo Tuesday. So you can be a little bit more shamelessly plugging. And I would actually have the LinkedIn event as the link. So I'd be sharing a post. So we probably, if you're looking at a weekly cycle, if anybody knows our cycle, on Fridays, we post the event for next week. So you post next week's event. I would be resharing the actual LinkedIn event as a post here on Tuesday. So you're not linking to an external link. You're actually linking to an internal, as in they talk about the walled garden of social media. So if LinkedIn is a walled garden and they want to keep everybody in it, don't try and link out to a event registration page that's in Zoom or Eventbrite or whatever it is from LinkedIn. Link to the LinkedIn event when you're promoting it on the Tuesday, and therefore you're keeping people in the walled garden. You share a post to say, hey, if you're interested in resilience, etc., I've got this event, and that becomes the post you post on Tuesday. So you've got the leg up. You're doing the DMs already to people to go to the event. Plus, you've got this promo Tuesday, which will then get additional views to the event. And of course, as you know, Lizzie, you'd also be sending an email to your database on Tuesday and also an email on Wednesday morning to your database. So that then helps to promote that event. So that's how I would slot your story post into this, 100%. I guess the other time you could do it was on a Friday, like Share a Win Friday. If you're doing it on a Wednesday, you could definitely work it that way. If you want to do a poll, because you could do a poll on Monday, so you could say, have your following my story on Friday about resilience. I just want to do a poll to say, have you had your resilience tested in 2024? Yes, no, right? Highly engaged poll because you've opened up the subject with a story on the Friday. So it's just looking at your assets and just sliding them around like chess pieces to make sure that you go, well, I know that I spent ages on this post, so I want to have the optimum amount of time to use this post to harness a audience of engagement to be able to fill an event. Right. And the reason we want to fill an event is the consideration.
So two things that I'm realizing that I'm probably not doing. What I'm doing is I'm sharing the link to register in Zoom in the comments. What probably I'll really be better to share the link for the LinkedIn event that I've got, so they're not leaving. So I was thinking if it's in the comments, it doesn't matter that it's away, but actually you're saying it does matter.
Do you know what I think that it doesn't matter in the kind of common knowledge line is don't put links in a post, put them in the comments, because it's not going to have the detrimental effect on your post. That but you are still taking people out of LinkedIn, and when you click on a link to go out of LinkedIn, it goes to that page, you are now leaving LinkedIn, are you sure? So you are then having to get them to make a second click, right? And whenever you get someone to take it, have to do more than one click. If anybody has ever done any kind of landing page optimization, you're always trying to reduce the volume of clicks. That is an extra click. Whereas if you take them straight to the LinkedIn event, it's native, so it's going to be faster. LinkedIn will move it faster. You're not having to load new page load speed is going to be another factor. It's all these little small micro changes, but it'll be faster, easier, quicker. The downside is if you're putting the event as your own event, then your own event means that they're not going to be using a form to say that they're actually working it through. But as you'll know, as part of our client group, one of the tactics that we say to people is, look, if someone's actually said they're going to come to the event and you've already got their details, or you can find their details on their profile, just register them on your Zoom for them, so they'll get the updates from Zoom anyway. Because
I also do my newsletter on a Tuesday about the subject on the Wednesday. I'm just wondering, I need to have a think whether that's better to do it on the Thursday, because I might have been giving all their tips away thinking I don't need to come to it now because I've seen all the information.
Well, that'd be perfect. So Thursdays, by the way, gang, we talk about replay Thursdays. So when just going back to my messy drawing. So Thursday is the last day that we're not talking about here. We talk about replay Thursday. So all the activity that you do, you book in for Thursday to get people to sales meeting, right? So that's send an email out to the attendees, thanking them, and then offering that. Send an email out to people who missed it, saying, sorry, you missed it, but here's the replay. and then sales meeting, and also put a post out on social going, hey, who wants the replay? Now that post could be a newsletter to say, hey, here's the top 3 highlights from this amazing session that we did yesterday. Here's also the link to the full recording. And, here's a couple of questions that were asked that I wanted to bring to your attention. I thought was particularly good. Something along those lines. And that could be your newsletter each week, which is the what happened at, Resilient Wednesdays event. It's called, what's it called currently?
Well, it's called Leaders Unleashed, but I'm thinking I'm changing it to Directors Drop-In. Anyway,
Okay, Directors Drop-In. Well, what is it? What time is it today?
12:30.
12:30 today. Currently, Leaders Unleashed.
Yes.
There you go. Well, if you want to see it in action, gangs, 12:30 today, Leaders Unleashed.
All about belonging versus fitting in today.
Oh, I like it. Belonging versus fitting in. So if you fancy a bit of that, go check out that for sure, because Lizzie's awesome. And it is a good example of how this all fits together. So that would be great. Okay, cool. Thank you, Lizzie. I hope that's helping, gang. So let's take another question just before I do, gang. Thank you, by the way, because my phone's pinged a couple of times to say that people are booking in. And I'm excited to speak to you guys about this. So let me just put the link again into the chat now for you. So if I just find that. So if you want to go through a couple of these specific elements that I just talked about here, the link's in the chat here. And just jump onto one of these sessions and book into these. Just obviously just click on these and then you can go and grab your session. It's in the chat now. I'm looking forward to talking to you specifically about some of these ideas, like the example I just gave with Lizzie there in the conversation about how this could work. Let's see how it could work for you. Cool. So I think there was one question in here that caught my eye. Helga, so you're saying, would you recommend posting directly on the company page, or is it better to post on the personal page and then share it on the company's? Great question. So think about how many people follow your company page versus how many people are connected with you on LinkedIn. So I have about 300-400 people who like my company page. I have about 18,000 people that are connected with me. So when you're thinking about that initial reach push for your content, you only ever get a percentage of your audience that will be pushed. Say it's 10%, right? And so I'll get 10% of 400 people are going to see my post versus 10% of 18,000 people are going to see my post, of which if I get some engagement and likes on my stuff, then more people are going to be pushed to it. And then it will have a rolling effect through to their 2nd and 3rd degree connections based upon their likes and interests and the quality and the content of that post. So you are far better off posting on your personal profile and then sharing to your company page. That doesn't mean that your company can't have its own posts every now and again, but you are definitely far better off doing it that way around. So that's what I would definitely say from that perspective. There's a couple of things that are cool about company pages, by the way, gang. And if anybody hasn't seen a YouTube video that I put out recently, and if I could ask you all a favor to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm asking a lot today, but I feel like I'm giving a lot. So let's make it a two-way process. But I put together a video. So look at my channel here. I've got an actual video on company pages here. If I go to videos here, and so I've got a video on how to share LinkedIn posts to a company page. That's the how-to. But I also had one on grow your LinkedIn business page, my #1 hack for strategy, right? So let me just share that in the chat now, and please do subscribe. But Flora, if we can put this out on the email as well to people, that link. But essentially what we're saying on this is there is the ability, and it takes you through step by step on how this could work, but there is the ability, if I go to my company page, if I just go back here, to actually use the invite feature and to max it out each week for your company page. So if I just go to, I'm just going to take a company here, and top right on your company page, you can go and invite, oh, hang on, that didn't work. That went to a poll. I'm not sure why that happened. Let's go down again. Go on. Right, so let's go to company, Fantastic. Come on. You can then use an invite feature on your company page. Here we go, invite connections. And look, you've got credits available. And so you've got 250 out of 250 credits available. So I can go invite connections here, and I can go click this and invite all these lovely people to like the company page. Bam, like that. And you have 250 credits, plus you can also do a post about liking your company page. And over time, you can just start to build a better followership in your company page. And it's probably worthwhile because, yes, someone might miss your personal post, but your company might be able to push content to them. And it also shows that you've got a higher volume of people interested in your content. Cool. Bit of a tip there. So into the room then. So it's 250. I think that's per month, Richard, actually, who's asked in the chat. But the point being is that when people accept those invites, you get those credits back. And so you can check it each week, and you might get an extra 50, because 50 people out of 250 have accepted it. So then you max it out again. You then go back, you max it out again, you go back. And so that's the way that you would work from there. Yeah. Cool. Into the room then, gang. Questions. There was a few in. So Simon says posts versus articles. So obviously articles has got the benefit that they can be newsletters. So you can just convert your article to become a newsletter. That's great. So it gets that further push. But posts tend to have a better organic reach, believe it or not. So it's all around that kind of toss up between actually a post doing better on the platform of LinkedIn, getting more views and impressions, just seems to be the way. And of course, with posts as well, you can make them video posts and audio stuff, or etc. Versus putting an article out. But an article can be, stays on that LinkedIn newsletter. It stays there as being an asset. The articles are searchable externally, so your posts are not search engine optimized and are not seen from someone Googling perspective, but an article, the kind of walled garden, if you like, is opened up for Google to index that article, and therefore your article can actually hit the top of Google search results through LinkedIn. So I would say, again, blend. They both have pros and cons, but I would definitely be doing at least one article a week, because that's where you can be posting your newsletter and using that. But I would also certainly be using posts for the majority of what you do. Further chat. If anybody's missed one, I'm sorry, because there's quite a few comments in there. If someone's got a comment, feel free to put a hand up or a digital hand up. There's 3 pages, or there's 2 pages now of people, so I can't see everybody. So you can maybe use one of these reaction buttons and use that if you've got a question. Cool. So Lizzie, so Laura saying all my posts are pretty long, but I do mix up the actual content a lot. Okay, wicked, love that. Deborah, yes.
Yeah, just a quick one, really. There's so many varying views on this. I tend to post every day on LinkedIn. Do you get penalized if you post more than once a day?
I think it's down to if you're posting and it's like an echo chamber, there's nothing going on, then potentially it's worth actually ratcheting down the volume of posting.
It's all about content, really, is what you're saying.
And so posting every day is no problem at all. Posting twice a day would be no problem at all if you're getting the content. We used to post like 3 bits of content a day, and we just felt it got a bit too much, and the average was getting less over time. So we kind of moved it back down to one or 2 max per day. But certainly you want to be posting twice a week minimum, because obviously that was part of the algorithm piece. But I certainly probably wouldn't be posting more than twice a day because of just the engagement side. That said, if you're an influencer, then happy days, right? You could be posting loads, and as long as you're getting loads of engagement, then go for it, right?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you, Deborah. Right, guys, I'm going to take these other questions now as well, but just so you know, we've come up to time. So if you're shooting off, great to see you. Just remember, I'll just put the link in the chat one last time if anybody wants to quickly jump onto one of these calls just before we close today. Hey guys, they're already going. So there's the last few there. So jump onto that. If not, I'll see you guys next week at 9 o'clock on Wednesday for another LinkedIn for Breakfast if you're going. But for people who are staying, Ronnie, let's take your question now. You too, buddy. You're muted, Ronnie. Ronnie, you're muted.
Yeah, I got it. There we
Oh,
go.
you're back. Okay.
Just that my hand doesn't follow my brain as quickly as it used to. With regard to if one's doing a video posts, time-wise, what's the sort of optimum length?
Yeah, so 3 minutes, any longer than 3 feels long. And so around that kind of 1 minute to 3 minutes, unless of course you're doing a live, and lives you can go longer on LinkedIn, you know, so sort of 15 to 20 minutes or so. Just think about yourself and how you approach YouTube. You know, YouTube, you if anything's sort of longer than that sort of 7 to 10 minutes, you've got to be pretty invested in wanting to get that knowledge before actually you know, tucking into that much time. We've all got like the inability to focus on anything. I always find so just remember that when you're doing this, that it's so busy, you know, you are always so busy that your content has to be sympathetic of their time, because you know we're all like that, right?
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Cheers. And Rajiv, last question from you.
Yes, Richard. How are you, Richard?
I'm very good. Welcome.
Yeah. Actually, I'm into the web development and the digital transformation service. So I just would like to know that what do you think that how many posts I should post related to that?
So I would I'd be thinking about the pains of your client, and then I'd be posting the majority of my posts towards the pains of my client, because I want myself to be linked to that pain and therefore the solution for that pain. So when you're talking about those clients, it's also got to make sure it's jargon free as well, because their pains have not got jargon in their head. Their pains are, how do I get my team to, you know, be able to to do this digital transformation, or to be able to do X, Y, Z, whatever it is, thinking about that, or the web development. How do I how do I tackle such a large website that needs to be sorted out, you know? And so it's that in their mind, they're like, oh, this is going to take so much time. It's going to have so much cost involved in it, so much headache. It's such a distraction. This is going to be painful. This is going to be expensive. It's going to take up resource. It's now, now's not the right time. If you can talk to that, that's the cloud that they're in. The fact that you're going to use, Drupal or Joomla or WordPress or nobody gives a crap about that. It's actually around that pain, and then they want to see you as being the expert. And then when they talk to you, you can then say, well, we solve this pain because we've got this ability to do this, and these are the and then really they don't want to have the techie bit too much anyway. They want to be saying, well, who else have you done it with? And you say, well, let me tell you a story about this client who also had these pains, and we were able to solve it. So now that they feel this way, and you see how I'm talking about pains and feelings and emotions, because people buy people, right? And people want to solve problems and pains for themselves. And by being able to do that, that's how you make any sort of sale, by getting right into that narrative. Whereas a lot of the time when people try and make a technical sell, they're selling things that are they're trying to sell in too much of a complicated manner. And so that would be my tip for you on that front.
Correct. Okay. Understood. Yeah. Thank you, Richard.
Pleasure. Good stuff. Right, gang. amazing. Really enjoyed hanging out with you guys today. We do it every week, and I've still got people coming in from the waiting room as well. That's awesome. Thank you, gang. Big love, and see you 9 o'clock on Wednesday, or see you in a one-to-one with me. Cheers, gang. Have a lovely rest of Easter. Bye now. Bye-bye.